So there's something that is genuinely bothering me about the way how we as a society treat technology. So if you've watched this channel for a while, then you most likely know about that because that's what I talk about all the time. It's the idea that tech waste is one of those problems that doesn't get nearly enough attention relative to how massive it actually is. We throw away perfectly functioning hardware because software decided it was no longer good enough. And I think that's a real problem. But today I actually want to do something practical about it because there's a solution that I think a lot of people don't know about, and I think it's surprisingly easy, even if you're not particularly tech savvy. So let me set the scene. You've got an old laptop. Maybe it's gathering dust under a bed. Maybe it's the one your parents are still somehow using, watching it take 4 minutes to open Chrome, constantly crashing, doing that thing where it just freezes mid-sentence for no reason, and maybe it's just too slow to be useful anymore. But here's the thing, the hardware probably is still fine for most everyday usage scenarios. And the laptop itself isn't broken. It's just running on hardware that has somehow quietly outgrown it, basically. And what I want to show you today is how you can take that same laptop and turn it into something that boots in about 10 seconds, runs smoothly, stays updated, and can genuinely handle most of what the average person needs a computer to do. And it's really no expensive upgrade. All you need is a basic USB stick and like 30 minutes of your time, and no technical knowledge needed. So let's get right into it. So let me take a minute on the why first, because I think it matters. It's not really a secret that a lot of tech is designed with a kind of built-in expiration date. Manufacturers obviously don't say it out loud, but the pattern is pretty consistent. You buy a laptop and within a year or two, updates make it slower. The software demands more than the hardware can give. And eventually the experience gets bad enough that buying new feels like the only option you have. And this is sometimes called planned obsolescence. And while the explanations and the motivations of the manufacturers kind of differ,
hello, I like money.
The result is still the same. Mountains of hardware that's technically still functional, sitting in landfills or forgotten in closets. I'm not trying to turn this into a lecture, but I just think that it's worth mentioning because there's so much good tech that could generally be still used. It would just save you a lot of money. It's just a no-brainer. It saves the environment, whatever your motivation is. That being said, because the technical side is still good, we don't need to change the hardware, but the software instead. So what is the solution? It's called Chrome OS Flex. It's a lightweight operating system made by Google, and it's specifically designed to run on older hardware. Hardware that Windows has more or less given up on. No, I know. Google. I know. Some of you are already raising an eyebrow, and honestly, same. I have a lot of complicated feelings about the Google ecosystem and the data stuff and all of that, but we could do a whole separate video on it. This video isn't about whether Google is a good company, whether they collect too many data of you or not. Of course they do. But it's about giving a specific piece of hardware a useful second life, and I think Chrome OS Flex is generally one of the best tools for doing that. It's also, that is very important, free. So Chrome OS itself is a lightweight Linux-based system. So of course you could technically just install Linux, but that's a bit more, I don't know, it doesn't take just 30 minutes. The basic idea is that almost everything happens in a browser. So you open it up and it looks and feels a bit like a Chromebook, because it basically is one, just running on your old laptop instead. You can browse the web, edit documents, use Google Workspace or any web-based app, watch videos, do video calls, handle spreadsheets. And if you've ever thought like 90% of what I do on a computer is just in a browser anyway, then this is probably enough for you. So most importantly, what it can't do, you cannot install traditional Windows software, you cannot run most PC games or handle heavy local processing work like video editing or 3D rendering. So there of course are limitations, and we'll come back to those later. But for a huge proportion of like everyday tasks that you have to do in uni, in school, at work or whatever, or just like browsing the web on your couch in the evening, it's generally capable and it's fast. And it's really surprising how fast it is to most people. All right, let's get into the actual process. What do you need? First of all, an old laptop, or new one, but I think an old one is like the perfect guinea pig for that. So pretty much any laptop made in the last decade or so should work, though you can check Google's official compatibility list to be sure. Additionally, you will need a USB stick with at least 8 gigabytes of storage. And most importantly, please, it should be a new or an empty USB stick, and a USB stick where you don't keep any data on, because eventually this will be wiped away and everything on the stick will be deleted. Technically, you could also like benefit from a second computer to prepare the USB stick, because it has to be prepared additionally as well, but that is it. Actually, only an old computer, a USB stick, and it would be beneficial to have another computer as well. That is it. So go to the Chrome OS Flex page on Google's site. I'll put a link in the description. And from there, you'll download a small tool called the Chromebook Recovery Utility tool or so, which is a Chrome extension. Once that's installed, open it up and select Chrome OS Flex as your device. Plug in your USB stick and let it do its thing. It's going to download the operating system and write it onto the USB stick. And this usually takes somewhere between 10 and 20 minutes, depending on your internet speed. When it's done, you've got a bootable USB stick, because the whole operating system will be stored on the USB stick and eventually also run on the USB stick. But we'll get to that later. Now, and this is important, you're going to bring that USB stick over to your old laptop, the one you want to revive. And here's where I need to pause and clearly say something. There are two ways of handling things right now. You can either now run Chrome OS directly from the USB stick and your hard drive in the computer itself won't be touched or affected in any way, or you can use the USB stick to install Chrome OS onto your computer so that you don't even need that USB stick anymore. But attention, if you do that, then everything on your computer will be erased. Every photo, every music file, every video that you have from like vacation 10 years ago in the Bahamas where you like got really drunk but it was still fun and you had a seagull like stole your fries, everything will be deleted. So if you like install the operating system on your computer properly, everything, as I said, will be deleted. So let's keep that in mind. And as I said, initially I would recommend you to run Chrome OS directly from the USB stick, meaning the laptop boots from the stick every time and nothing on the existing hard drive gets touched. Windows stays there, your files stay there, everything is left alone. And I think this is a great way to try it out first to see if you like it before committing to anything permanent, or technically you even use it like that forever. And as I said, the second option would be to install Chrome OS directly onto the laptop via the USB stick. But if you do that, it will erase everything, Windows, all your files, everything. It will be gone. So that was the last reminder. So moving on from here, maybe before you do anything else, back up anything you want to keep, photos, documents, whatever matters, and copy them on, for example, an external drive or upload them somewhere. If you just want to try it out first, I think the USB root is absolutely the safest option, because you can always like return to Windows again. Okay, so now you need to plug the USB stick into your computer, and it's a little bit tricky and it depends on what kind of a computer you have, but you have to like insert the USB stick onto your computer, press the power button, and then rapidly and instantly multiple times press either the F9, F10, F11 or F12 key. It depends on your computer, so just try all of them out. Or what I do is I just slam every key on the keyboard and it will eventually work as well. And this will get you to the boot menu. And the boot menu will show you a list of things the computer can start from. So it would normally just use Windows, which is the main partition on your computer. But here you can select the USB stick as well, which you want to do, and then watch it go. So the first boot takes about a minute or two, and it's where it sets up everything. After that, you'll be greeted by a fairly simple setup screen. You can connect to Wi-Fi, you log into your Google account, which is like the foundation of the whole operating system, and that is basically it, actually. Your apps, your bookmarks, your Google Drive, because it's cloud-based, there's nothing to install. No drivers to hunt down, no 45-minute Windows updates to wait through. The desktop is pretty much clean, and there's a shelf at the bottom. The main app is Chrome, of course, and for most tasks, that's where everything lives. All right, so for all of you who consider this, let me show you what this basically looks like in real life and what you can do and what you cannot do on this new Chrome OS laptop that you have. So browsing is obviously fine. It's really fast, it's smooth, and you can YouTube, Netflix, all of these streaming stuff works perfectly. Google Docs, Sheets, Slides, all there. So if you need something for work, if you're a student writing essays or doing coursework, this covers you completely, I guess. Also, like for other work-related things, you have Zoom and Google Meet as well. Gmail works perfectly fine. If you do your banking online, that works too. As I said, everything you would normally do in your browser. For light photo editing, you would have to switch to apps that run in the browser. So for example, Canva or things like that. And because it's browser-based, it's no problem whatsoever. For basic video editing, you cannot install anything like CapCut or DaVinci Resolve or so. You would again like have to switch to Canva, to Google Video, or CapCut browser for that matter, to everything that is based in your browser. So what I keep coming back to is that everything is basically browser-based. Ecosystem is basically built around. So, and you maybe ask yourself, is this something for me or not? What are the pros? What are the cons? What are the trade-offs most importantly? And that's what we have to discuss now. So what I think is really great, the speed, especially if you're like your old laptop with Windows just sucked, it is genuinely impressive how fast this thing is, especially in all the hardware. The boot time is short, it doesn't slow down over the time the way that Windows tends to, it gets automatic updates silently in the background. From what I understand, the virus risk is rather low, and for a laptop you're handing to a parent, grandparent, or a kid for that sake, like the simplicity is even a feature, because there's nothing much to break or mess up. What about doing things offline, you might ask? This is probably the most common concern people have, and I want to address it properly because the reputation is a bit outdated. There's actually a fair bit of things that you can do without internet. Google Docs, Sheets, Slides all have built-in offline mode. You just have to enable it once in Drive settings or so, and after that they sync automatically when you reconnect. So several apps can be for that sake. I think also Gmail, Keep, and Calendar can be like set up to be usable offline. And of course, and that is really important, basic file management like viewing photos, reading PDFs and stuff like that, which is like the basic desktop stuff, that works perfectly fine. Besides that, every tool which would basically require a browser and an internet connection will of course not work without internet, so you're stuck there. So you would have to do all the important things while you're connected to your internet basically. But if you're at home, if you're at work, if you're at uni, that's most likely the case, so I don't see where this should be a problem. The honest framing is still, if you're frequently somewhere without reliable internet, like on a flight, on public transport, or if when your internet just sucks at home, this probably isn't the right fit for you. But for most people who are basically always on Wi-Fi at home, as I said, or wherever you are, I think the offline gaps are pretty manageable and the productivity tools are basically covered. And additionally, I think there are some things that are also not ideal, to say at least. If you do any serious local software, like specific professional tools, games with large local files, anything that is basically platform dependent, this is not going to work as a replacement. And if you're used to having everything neatly in a Windows environment, there is a small adjustment period. So the laptop I'm using for this video is my main laptop, and it's not that old actually. I just have it in the video to demonstrate how this thing works. But in my first semester of university back then, I had no money whatsoever, and I just had this old laptop that I had for years, and that was just a total mess. It was so slow, I couldn't do anything basically on it. I installed Chrome OS on it back then, and it solved all my problems, and especially for uni back then, it was really great because it was basically free and it did most of the things that I needed to do, because I basically just needed to like view documents, write things, and view slides and so on. If you're not really sure whether this is something for you, I think running it from your USB stick permanently is a great way to handle this, because you don't have to commit to either Windows or Chrome OS, and you can, like, if you're not sure, or if you cannot transition immediately, then you have like some sort of a transition period where you can basically use both. And I think that's a really practical thing. So who this is for? So I want to be clear about who I think is generally a great fit for this. If you have an old laptop that's too slow to be useful and you want to give it a real second life, this is probably the most accessible way to do that. If you're a student who mainly needs a browser and Google Workspace, this does everything you need and it's free. I mean, students love free things. That's basically what being a student is all about. If you're setting a laptop up for someone who just wants to browse or to do video calls and watch things, I'm having like parents and grandparents in mind, this is arguably a better experience than a budget Windows machine in many cases. But of course, if you're someone who uses a computer primarily for gaming, or who has like specific software that only runs on Windows, or who needs a heavy local processing for work, this is not an option whatsoever. But especially nowadays, for lots of people, this is exactly what they are looking for in a computer or on a laptop, because most of the things that you do is browser-based anyway, or web-based anyway. So it would be a great fit for the year 2026, in my opinion at least. And I keep coming back to the same thought with things like this. The hardware is usually fine, and the problem is almost always the software layer on top of it. It's generally satisfying when you find a way around that, and when you can take something that was functionally written off and make it useful again. And this is of course not a perfect solution. It's a little bit wacky, of course. But what is a perfect solution anyway? It's a real one, it's free, it's really accessible, it's easy. And I think for many people this might be a great fit. And most importantly, it prevents tech waste, which I think is a great way to approach things. So if you try it, I'd be curious to see how it goes. And if you already have done something like this, giving an old laptop a different kind of second life, I'd be really interested to know what your experiences were. Besides hating tech waste, I hate consumer society in general, and I made several videos like this one, for example, where I talked about old but gold tech that I used until this day that is basically outdated, but because I think good tech just keeps running and running and is generally just awesome to use. So make sure to watch this video right here. Besides that, as always, thank you so much for watching, and hopefully see you next video. Bye bye.